There's a simple truth that separates winners from the defeated, and it doesn't begin with luck or talent or circumstance. It begins in the mind. The greatest victories in history were first won in thought before they were ever achieved in reality. If you train your mind to win, then no obstacle can keep you from the life you were meant to live. Your mind is the foundation of every victory. Before you can win in the outer world, you must first win in the inner world. Every invention, every achievement, every dream fulfilled began in thought. The mind is the starting point of creation, and those who understand how to control it are the ones who shape their destiny. If you think of yourself as powerless, as someone who is at the mercy of luck or chance, you will live a life that reflects that belief. But when you begin to see your mind as the most powerful tool you possess, you unlock the ability to change your entire future. Consider this. A building stands because an architect first saw it in the realm of imagination. A book exists because an author believed in the power of an idea. A champion raises a trophy because long before they ever competed, they trained their thoughts to see themselves as victorious. Nothing begins on the outside, everything begins in the mind. Your mind is the soil, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant doubt, you will reap hesitation. If you plant courage, persistence, and vision, you will reap victory. The harvest is always determined by what you allow to grow within. Your mind does not care what seeds are planted. It will return whatever you sow with remarkable precision. If you dwell on fear, on failure, on limitation, your mind will faithfully create circumstances to match those thoughts. If you dwell on strength, possibility, and growth, your mind will open doors you never imagined were possible. The responsibility lies with you. You are both the gardener and the caretaker. A wise gardener does not wait to see what happens. He decides what will grow. Likewise, a wise person does not leave their mind unattended, but chooses each thought carefully, knowing that tomorrow's victories are born from today's mental habits. To train the mind as the foundation of victory requires discipline. It means catching yourself when negativity tries to take root. It means replacing self-doubt with self-belief, replacing complaints with solutions, replacing fear with action. Over time, these small decisions compound. Just as the body grows stronger through exercise, the mind grows sharper through deliberate thought. You do not train your mind once and then stop. It is a daily practice, a constant effort to keep it aligned with the vision you hold for your life. The stronger your mental discipline, the more resilient you become when challenges appear. When you see obstacles, your mind can interpret them as walls or as stepping stones. The choice is yours. Those who have trained their minds understand that setbacks are temporary and that every difficulty carries the seed of equal or greater opportunity. They do not see themselves as victims of circumstance, but as creators of possibility. Their foundation is unshakable because it was built first in thought. Winning begins not with talent, not with resources, not with opportunities, but with a decision in the mind, the decision that says, I will not quit, I will not surrender, I will train my thoughts until they align with the life I seek. Once that decision is made, everything else begins to fall into place. Energy follows thought, action follows belief, results follow consistency. And in the end, the victory you achieve in the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of the victory you first achieved in the inner world. When you understand this, you no longer wait for success to come from outside circumstances. You stop blaming others, stop waiting for luck, and stop doubting your own power. You realize that the foundation has been within you all along. Your mind is the greatest battlefield, and once you conquer it, every other battle becomes winnable. Train your mind to think as a winner, and in time, you will live as one. Thoughts shape behavior, and behavior shapes results. This is one of the most profound truths you can ever understand, because it explains why two people, given the same resources, the same opportunities, and even the same obstacles, can end up with completely different outcomes. The difference is not in the external world, it lies within the way each person thinks. What a man thinks about most of the time eventually shows itself in the way he acts, and those actions, repeated over time, build the life he either desires or dreads. If you think small, you'll act small. If you constantly dwell on fear, you'll hesitate when opportunity knocks. If you imagine failure before you even begin, you'll create excuses to avoid trying. The mind cannot be filled with doubt and produce confidence at the same time. But when you think with conviction, when you hold an image of success with clarity and certainty, your behavior begins to reflect that inner vision. You step forward with courage. You carry yourself differently. You act as though victory is possible, and in that action lies the seed of achievement. Every behavior begins as a thought. A simple decision, repeated enough times, becomes a habit, and habits shape your destiny. The person who thinks daily of growth, progress, and excellence cannot help but behave in a way that creates progress. The person who fills his mind with excuses, complaints, and fears cannot help but live a life that reflects those very things. What you allow into your mind is what you allow into your future. If you want to change your results, you must first change your thoughts. This is why training the mind is the foundation of success. When you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your actions. Think of a person who believes they are capable of great things. That belief drives them to wake up earlier, to work harder, to push through challenges, because their mind has already decided the outcome is worth it. On the other hand, someone who believes they are destined to fail will not put in the same effort, and their lack of effort confirms the belief they started with. It is a cycle. Your thoughts dictate your behavior, and your behavior reinforces your thoughts. Break the cycle of negativity, and you open the door to growth. The challenge is that thoughts do not always present themselves as loud, obvious statements. They often whisper, a small doubt before a presentation, a quiet fear before a decision, a subtle hesitation when opportunity arises. These whispers guide behavior in ways most people don't even notice. But by becoming aware of them, by choosing to replace them with stronger, more empowering thoughts, you begin to guide your actions in a new direction. That is the true discipline of the mind, to catch the weak thought before it becomes a weak action. Behavior is nothing more than thought in motion. If you think disciplined, you will act disciplined. If you think persistent, you will act persistent. If you think victorious, you will act victorious. And over time, those actions compound into results that reflect the strength of your inner world. A single thought may seem small, but when repeated and reinforced, it becomes the driving force behind every success you achieve. So guard your thoughts as you would guard the foundation of your home. Recognize their power to shape your behavior, and through that behavior, the results of your life. Train yourself to think with clarity, with confidence, with determination, because when you do, your actions will align with those thoughts, and the life you dream of will no longer be a distant vision but a natural consequence of the way you've trained your mind to live. Discipline is the quiet architect behind every victory. It is not glamorous, and it rarely receives applause, but it is the foundation upon which all success rests. When you look closely at anyone who has accomplished great things, you will not only find vision or talent, you will find discipline practiced day after day until it has become second nature. Discipline is the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you want to be, from dream to reality, from thought to achievement. Without it, desire remains nothing more than wishful thinking. With it, even the most unlikely dreamer can shape their destiny. The mind is powerful, but without discipline it becomes restless and unfocused. A thought without discipline is like a spark that fades before it ever becomes a flame. But when discipline is applied, the spark is given fuel, structure, and direction. It becomes a fire that cannot easily be extinguished. Training the mind to win requires training it to obey discipline. Every great achievement is the result of countless small choices made with consistency. Even when no one is watching, success is not created in the moments of excitement or inspiration, but in the quiet hours when a person decides to stay the course, to work when it would be easier to quit, and to push forward when comfort calls louder than purpose. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. At first glance, people mistake it for restriction, but the truth is the opposite. The disciplined mind is free from the chains of laziness, from the grip of procrastination, from the endless tug-of-war between desire and distraction. Discipline is the act of choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It is saying no to the things that weaken you and yes to the actions that strengthen you. In this way, discipline does not take away your freedom. It grants you the power to rise above impulses and direct your energy towards something lasting. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, you strengthen the foundation of your mind. Like a muscle, discipline grows with repetition. In the beginning it feels heavy, unnatural, even painful, but with time it becomes automatic. The person who consistently trains the mind to follow discipline begins to experience a new kind of strength, one that doesn't rely on external motivation. It becomes self-sustaining, a quiet force that pushes forward regardless of mood or circumstance. When you no longer depend on feelings to decide your actions, you unlock the true power of discipline. Consider how discipline works in the smallest details. Waking up at the time you promised yourself, finishing a task you committed to, resisting the urge to escape through distraction. Each of these small victories is a brick placed in the structure of a winning mind. These small victories repeated daily become habits, and habits compounded over weeks, months, and years shape the direction of an entire life. A disciplined person does not stumble into success. They build it, piece by piece, choice by choice, until the result becomes undeniable. There will always be temptation to drift from discipline, to seek the easier path, to excuse yourself with the thought that tomorrow will offer another chance. But tomorrow is not promised, and delay is the silent thief of opportunity. Discipline teaches you to act today, to seize the present moment, because it is the only ground on which victory can be built. The mind trained in discipline understands that consistency is greater than intensity, that steady progress is more powerful than fleeting bursts of effort. When discipline becomes your ally, you stop chasing success and begin attracting it. You no longer wait for the right moment, you create it. You no longer depend on luck, you prepare for it. Discipline transforms dreams into plans and plans into achievements. The person who masters discipline has already won in the mind long before the results appear in reality. And when the results do come, they are not a surprise. They are the inevitable harvest of seeds planted and watered with unwavering discipline. Clarity is the invisible force that separates those who wander from those who win. Without it, life becomes a maze of confusion, where energy is wasted on distractions and opportunities pass by unnoticed. A person without clarity may work hard, but their effort is scattered, unfocused, and ultimately unrewarded. To train your mind to win, you must first train it to see with precision. Clarity is not a gift that arrives in silence. It is a decision, a discipline, a process of removing the noise until only the essential remains. Think of the mind as a lens. When unfocused, the light scatters in every direction, producing only a faint glow. But when aligned, when sharpened, the same light becomes a laser, powerful enough to cut through steel. The same principle applies to your life. You have energy, potential, and talent. But unless they are directed with clarity, they remain diffused. Clarity takes that scattered power and concentrates it toward one meaningful aim. That is where victory begins. Clarity starts with vision. You must know where you are going before you can measure progress. Far too many people wake each morning without a clear sense of purpose. They react to circumstances rather than create them. They chase what others value rather than pursuing what truly matters to them. To live this way is to drift, and a drifting life rarely reaches a shore worth landing on. When you define your vision, you give your mind an anchor, a compass, and a reason to rise each day with intent. But vision alone is not enough. Clarity demands detail. It is not enough to say, "I want success." Success is too vague, too shapeless. What kind of success? In what area? By what measure? When you lack detail, your mind cannot direct itself. But when you paint a clear picture, specific goals, defined timelines, measurable outcomes, your mind begins to operate like a well-trained guide, pulling you toward that picture day after day. The clearer the target, the stronger the pull. Clarity also requires elimination. You cannot hold on to everything and expect to move with purpose. Too many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they spread themselves too thin. They say yes to every demand. They chase every opportunity. They drown in a sea of almosts. The winning mind learns the art of saying no. It understands that focus is power, and power cannot exist without sacrifice. To gain clarity, you must decide what matters most and let go of what does not. Only then can your energy flow fully toward the life you are building. Another essential part of clarity is alignment. Your actions must match your vision. It is pointless to declare a destination while walking in the opposite direction. Many people speak of goals, yet their daily habits betray them. Clarity turns vague intention into practical alignment. It forces you to examine your choices and ask, does this action serve my vision, or does it sabotage it? Each decision either strengthens clarity or weakens it. Each choice is either fuel or friction. And clarity, above all, is a discipline. It is not something you gain once and then hold forever. Life will always throw distractions, noise, and temptations at you. Without regular reflection, your vision will blur again. This is why the mind must be trained daily through journaling, meditation, planning, or simple quiet thought. You must constantly bring your focus back to what matters most. The sharper you train your clarity, the less room you leave for confusion. When you possess clarity, you begin to move differently. Doubt loses its grip because you know where you are going. Fear diminishes because your focus is greater than your hesitation. Distractions fade because they cannot compete with a clear purpose. Clarity gives you the rarest of advantages. It allows you to live intentionally, not accidentally, and in the game of life, intention is the hallmark of every true winner. Focus is the hidden force behind every great achievement. It is the ability to direct the full strength of your mind toward a single purpose while ignoring the distractions that fight for your attention. In a world filled with noise, opportunities, temptations, and constant interruptions, the person who masters focus holds an advantage that few can ever match. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because their energy is scattered. They chase too many things at once, start and stop, and never give their mind the chance to concentrate long enough to bring anything to completion. The truth is, your mind cannot serve two masters. You either train it to obey your vision, or you let it wander aimlessly, giving in to whatever captures it in the moment. When you focus, you harness the power of your thoughts the way a magnifying glass directs sunlight into a single burning point. Left scattered, the sun warms but does not ignite. But concentrated, it has the power to burn through anything in its path. That is the way your mind works. Scattered thinking produces scattered results. Concentrated thought produces extraordinary progress. The person who can hold one idea in their mind long enough to act on it, refine it, and push it forward will accomplish more in a year than a distracted person might in a lifetime. Focus is not just about what you pay attention to. It is equally about what you refuse to give your attention to. Every distraction comes with a cost, and the cost is momentum. If you stop and start again too many times, you lose the rhythm that could have carried you to the finish line. Training your mind to focus means saying no to what is urgent but unimportant so that you can devote yourself to what is truly meaningful. It means guarding your time and your energy with the same seriousness that a warrior guards his weapon, because without focus, all the discipline, talent, and vision in the world will be wasted. This ability does not come by chance. It is a skill, and like all skills, it must be practiced. Each time you sit down to work on a task and resist the urge to check your phone, your mind grows stronger. Each time you push aside the noise of doubt and keep your attention on the solution, you strengthen the habit of concentration. Focus grows through repetition, through the daily decision to give your best effort to one thing at a time. Soon it becomes a way of life, and where others see obstacles, you see only the next step toward your goal. The world has always rewarded those who can focus. Great inventions, timeless works of art, revolutionary ideas, all of them were the product of individuals who gave themselves completely to their craft. They were not necessarily the smartest or the most gifted, but they were willing to block out the world long enough to master their vision. That same power is available to you. Train your mind to focus, and even the most distant dream begins to take shape. Lose your focus, and even the simplest task becomes a burden. Focus is freedom. It frees you from the trap of mediocrity and places you on the path of mastery. When your mind is clear, your energy flows in one direction, and that direction leads you toward progress. Every day that you practice focus, you are building a future where your thoughts are not wasted but invested. And those investments, over time, grow into results so powerful they seem almost inevitable. Persistence is the armor of the winner. It is the quiet force that separates those who only dream from those who live their dreams. When you look at the lives of people who have achieved great success, you will not always find the most talented, the most gifted, or the most fortunate. More often you will find ordinary individuals who refuse to give up. They learn to stand when life knocked them down, to rise after every fall, to take failure not as a signal to quit, but as a signal to begin again with greater wisdom. That is the essence of persistence, the ability to continue moving forward when every reason to stop stands before you. When you train your mind to persist, you prepare yourself for the inevitable storms of life. Obstacles will come, and they will come in different forms: financial struggles, rejection, criticism, self-doubt, and fear. But persistence teaches you that none of these obstacles are permanent. They are temporary tests, challenges designed to strengthen your resolve and prove how much you truly desire the goal you have set before you. Without persistence, even the brightest vision fades into discouragement. With it, even the darkest setbacks turn into stepping stones toward progress. Failure itself is not the end. Failure is information. It tells you what does not work. It redirects your path. It forces you to sharpen your approach. Too many people allow failure to be the final chapter in their story when, in truth, it was only meant to be a paragraph. Persistence means reading that paragraph, learning from it, and then turning the page to continue the story. The person who understands this principle is unstoppable because they know that failure is not their enemy, it is their instructor. To persist, you must build an inner dialogue that strengthens your will to continue. The mind will often whisper, "It's too hard, it's too late, it's impossible." But persistence answers back with a louder voice that says, "One more step, one more try, one more day." That is how mountains are moved, one determined step at a time. Progress does not always arrive with fanfare or applause. Sometimes it is hidden in the silent hours of persistence, in the small choices to keep going when quitting feels easier. Consider the image of water cutting through rock. At first glance, the rock appears invincible, solid, immovable. Yet over time, the gentle persistence of flowing water carves valleys, shapes landscapes, and alters the earth itself. Persistence works in the same way. You may not see immediate results, but each effort, each attempt, each refusal to quit is shaping your destiny in ways you cannot yet measure. The mind that has trained itself to persist becomes like that flowing water, unyielding, unstoppable, destined to create change. Persistence also requires patience, for it is not a single act, but a lifelong commitment. The results you seek may not arrive tomorrow, next week, or even next year, but the consistent application of effort guarantees eventual progress. Too often people quit just before their breakthrough, abandoning the pursuit when they were only a few steps away from success. Training your mind to persist ensures that you will never stop short of the victory that belongs to you. In the end, persistence is the mark of true strength. Talent may open the door, opportunity may set the stage, but persistence is what keeps you walking forward when the road is long and the finish line seems distant. If you cultivate this quality within your mind, nothing can defeat you permanently. Challenges may delay you, but they cannot deny you. With persistence, every setback becomes a lesson, every trial becomes a test of character, and every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. Belief is the ignition switch of the mind, the unseen force that turns a thought into reality, a dream into progress, and a vision into achievement. Without belief, even the greatest ideas remain locked away in the realm of possibility, never given the chance to take shape. But with belief, a person discovers that there are no walls strong enough, no mountains high enough, and no storms fierce enough to stop a determined mind. It is not talent alone that shapes history, nor opportunity, nor luck. It is belief that lifts the ordinary into the extraordinary. Belief does not mean ignoring reality, it means shaping reality through the lens of conviction. The moment you truly believe that you can accomplish something, your mind begins working tirelessly to align your actions with that truth. You start to see opportunities where others see only problems. You find the strength to persist when others choose to quit. Belief pulls you forward even when the road is filled with obstacles, because it assures you that the destination is worth the journey. Think of the individual who stands at the edge of a challenge. Two voices are speaking inside of them. One says, "You cannot do this," and the other says, "You were made for this." The voice you choose to believe will determine the outcome of your life. Those who train their minds to believe in themselves discover that courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to move forward in spite of it. Fear may whisper, but belief shouts louder. And once the mind accepts possibility as certainty, the body follows with unwavering energy. Belief is not built in a single moment. It is strengthened by daily choices. Every time you decide to take one more step, to practice a little longer, to try once more after a setback, you are feeding your belief. The mind works like a mirror. It reflects back to you the story you tell it. Tell your mind that you are weak, and it will find proof in every failure. Tell your mind that you are capable, and it will discover evidence in every effort. The story you believe becomes the life you live. History is filled with examples of individuals who were told their dreams were impossible, who were doubted by the world, dismissed by experts, or laughed at by crowds, yet their belief carried them through ridicule and rejection. They trained their minds not to accept the verdict of others, but to hold fast to the truth they saw within themselves. And in time, the world that once doubted them came to stand in awe of what belief had made possible. That same power is available to every human being who chooses to believe in the vision they hold. The remarkable thing about belief is that it multiplies with action. The moment you step forward, even in uncertainty, belief grows stronger. You gain evidence that progress is possible. You gain confidence from the smallest victories. And soon, belief no longer feels like an idea. It feels like a reality waiting to be lived. This is why belief must always be paired with motion. To believe is to act. To act is to reinforce belief. And this cycle, once started, becomes unstoppable. Belief will not erase difficulties, but it will give you the strength to face them. It will not guarantee comfort, but it will guarantee growth. And when the storms of life rise, belief becomes an anchor that keeps you from drifting into despair. The person who believes does not say, "I hope," they say, "I will." And those words become a prophecy fulfilled by persistence, discipline, and faith. To train your mind to win is to train it to believe. For once belief takes root, it turns hesitation into courage, fear into fuel, and dreams into destiny. When you believe deeply enough, the world itself bends to make room for your vision. That is the power of belief. The seventh key to a mind prepared for victory. Daily habits are the hidden architects of destiny. They are the small, almost invisible actions that, repeated consistently, build the structure of your future. Too often, people imagine success as the result of one dramatic breakthrough, one great opportunity, or one extraordinary moment. But the truth is far simpler and more profound. Success is the accumulation of little choices, repeated day after day, until they form an unshakable foundation. The habits you practice when no one is watching become the victories the world eventually applauds. Consider the way a river carves its path through solid rock. It does not happen overnight. It is not the power of a single surge of water that shapes the landscape. It is persistence. It is the daily, unrelenting flow, small and steady, that wears away resistance and forms a new reality. In the same way, your habits shape your character, and your character determines your destiny. If your days are filled with discipline, learning, and focused effort, your future cannot help but bend toward success. If your days are filled with delay, distraction, and wasted hours, the result will be equally predictable. The key is understanding that habits compound. One day of discipline may seem small, almost meaningless, but 100 days of discipline create mastery. One moment of self-control may feel insignificant, but 1,000 moments build unshakable strength. Habits, both good and bad, do not ask for your permission. They reward you or punish you based on the choices you make repeatedly. If you want to train your mind to win, then train it to master the ordinary moments of each day, because that is where victory is truly decided. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a short burst of effort, but they underestimate what they can accomplish through years of consistent habits. Reading 10 pages of a great book each day may not feel like much, but in a year that is over 3,000 pages, more knowledge than many acquire in a lifetime. Practicing gratitude for a few minutes every morning may feel simple, but in time, it reshapes the way you see the world. Writing down your goals each day might seem repetitive, yet it keeps your vision alive and your focus sharp. These small, quiet habits accumulate into an unstoppable momentum that changes everything. Habits also build trust within yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your confidence. You begin to trust your own word. And when you trust yourself, hesitation fades and courage grows. Winners are not people who never fall. They are people whose habits are so deeply ingrained that even when they stumble, they quickly return to their path. Their habits carry them forward when motivation is gone, when energy is low, and when challenges seem overwhelming. The danger is just as real on the other side. Negative habits compound just as powerfully as positive ones. The habit of procrastination builds a life of regret. The habit of complaining creates a mind blinded to opportunity. The habit of distraction weakens focus until goals fade away. You cannot escape the results of your habits. They will shape you whether you choose them consciously or not. That is why the greatest act of discipline is to design your days with intention. The remarkable truth is that you don't have to change everything at once. You only need to choose a few small, powerful habits and remain faithful to them. Over time, they will transform your identity. You will no longer need to remind yourself to act like a winner. You will become one naturally, because your habits have molded you into that person. Winning is not achieved in the grand moments of applause or recognition. Winning is achieved in the quiet repetition of daily habits, practiced until success is no longer something you pursue, but something you live.